I remember when I was growing up, my parents taught me phone etiquettes, which involved both receiving a phone call and making a phone call as well. While receiving a phone call, we were not supposed to say, "I am alone at home," as a safety measure when there was nobody at home. And when we received a phone call, very politely, we had to say, "Hello, this is Surabhi Jain. May I know with whom do you want to speak with?" We were never supposed to shout the name of the concerned person holding the phone in the hand. And if our father or mother were busy, or they were not able to come on the phone at that time, or they were in the washroom, we just had to say they are busy and they will call you back later. Or we can just take a message and write it down very neatly along with the number of the concerned person in a notepad which was kept besides the telephone. And in the end, before saying bye, we were supposed to greet the person and then say bye. And it was mandatory to listen to the bye said by the other person before hanging the phone. Making phone calls had their rules too. While we made a phone call, we had to say, "Hello, this is Surabhi Jain. May I speak with so-and-so?" And if the concerned person was not at home, was not available to speak with, we had to leave a message very, very clearly. And before saying bye, we again had to greet the person very nicely. So hello, this is Surabhi Jain and I am a personality development trainer for kids, and this video is a part of my series where I'm going to share with you certain manners and etiquettes and common courtesies which together we can teach our children to make them more responsible and better human beings. In today's world where manners are becoming old school, it becomes really essential for us to train our kids for all social situations, especially when it comes to cell phone and communication. Statistics reveal that close to 25% of 6 to 9 years old have their own cell phones, which jumps to 60% of 10 to 14-year-old kids which own their cell phones, and it rises to whopping 84% of 15 to 18-year-old children who own a cell phone. Cell phone etiquettes have become increasingly complicated. So it becomes really important for us to teach our kids the do's and don'ts of cell phone usage, especially when they are exposed to cell phones at an early childhood. Recently, due to the outbreak of Corona pandemic and the advent of online education culture, even I had to provide my daughters with their personal cell phones. But however, I have been increasingly frustrated by the way their cell phones are dominating their lives. So what can we do about this? You must have noticed that many of the adults who are supposed to know better show similar behavioral patterns. The fact is that manners and etiquettes have not kept pace with the explosion in technological innovations. As parents, we cannot turn back the clock. We cannot even get rid of our houses with every technological influence. So today I'm going to share with you certain do's and don'ts of cell phone etiquettes which we can discuss with our kids and make them socially responsible. So let us start with the do's. So the first is limit your time. Time is the most important resource of your life. It determines the success, your performance in every sphere of life. So it is really important to limit the screen time every time you pick up your phone. So the question is, how much screen time is healthy? According to a survey, before the breakout of Corona pandemic, the average screen time used by the children was around 4.5 hours per day. which, when the schools closed, shooted to 6 hours per day and now reaches to 8 hours 40 minutes per day. Prolonged screen time for young children can cause harm to their ability to concentrate, to focus, to pay attention, and to sense other people's attitude. Dr. Larry Rosen, a psychology professor at California State University, says it is important to limit the stretches of time children are spending in front of screen rather than worrying about the total amount of time they spend in front of screen throughout the day. Frequent breaks stop the mind from getting overstimulated and also combat screen addiction. He suggests a 40-minute screen time and then a break of 1 hour for children less than 10 years, which extends to 1 hour and then a 1 hour break for elder children or preteens, and a maximum of 1.5 hours for teenagers and young adults. So the next is lower your voice. The second very important cell phone etiquette is keep your voice low while talking on phone in public. Many a times we see people speaking on top of their voice when they are talking on phone. In fact, they speak louder than their normal pitch. It is really annoying to see people speak so loud when they are on phones. In fact, it is really disturbing and distracting. It is highly recommended to keep your voice low when you are in public. But why only in public? I would recommend to keep your voice calm, relaxed and low even when you are talking on phone in your personal space. Maybe the person on the other side of the phone can listen to you really clearly. So why to unnecessarily raise your voice and make that person uncomfortable? So the next do of the cell phone etiquettes is turn the volume off. I remember I was at an event and the speaker had taken a pause to let the audience absorb the poignancy of his last statement. And the listeners were waiting for him to start in complete silence. And as he drew his last breath to speak his next words, the absolute silence of the room was shattered with a complete Bollywood dance number, which was my ringtone. Everybody looked here and there and darted glance across the room to find out the real culprit. And as I discreetly tried to turn off my phone, it dropped with a loud clack against the ground. I waved to the speaker to apologize, and I was all red in face. I sank into my chair, and how I wished I was invisible for that moment. That day I realized that one should be mindful of the place where they are. I should have turned off the volume of my phone. I should have put my phone on vibration mode. So if you are at a public place like a movie, a theater, at your tuition classes, in a library, or maybe in a doctor's clinic or in a hospital, do turn off your mobile phones or lower down the volume of your phones. Put them on silent mode or vibration mode. So the third do of cell phone etiquettes is be mindful of your ringtones. I remember I was at a parents' meeting at my daughter's school, and there was this parent who was coughing at regular intervals. And every time he coughed, he covered his mouth a bit later. When I observed closely, every time he coughed, he looked at his cell phone. I instantly realized that that cough was his ringtone. With time, mobile ringtones have seen an evolution. right from the standard beeps to the famous Nokia ringtone, which were overtaken by the polyphonic ringtones, and in recent time ringtones have become a force to reckon with. Video tones, ringback tones, sing tones, and the list goes on and on. Sometimes, in an attempt to stand out in crowd, people choose ringtones which are highly annoying and distasteful in public environment. Your ringtone goes a long way in depicting your personality. So it cannot be denied that ringtone etiquette is a part of social behavior in public places. So it should not be considered as a style statement. So one should be highly mindful while selecting your ringtone. So the next is clear voice message. Sending a voice message is quite convenient, as if you make a phone call, you get totally occupied. While sending a voice message, you can use your phone and do many other things. In fact, a voice message is more emotive and spontaneous as compared to text-based communication. It is convenient for the sender and even easier for the receiver as well. I remember yesterday itself, I was out of my house due to some work, and my daughter sent me a voice message. I had to go through that voice message again and again several times to understand it properly. So when I returned home, I explained my daughter that whenever you are making a voice message to anybody, you should be slow and clear in speaking so that the person who receives the message can understand your message clearly. So whenever you are making a voice message, try to be slow, try to be clear, and avoid background noises to make your message be understood by the receiver. So this was a part of my series where I'm going to share manners, etiquettes and common courtesies with you, which together we can share with our children to make them more responsible, more successful now and throughout their lifetime. So stay tuned for more. Until then, this is Surabhi Jain saying goodbye till we meet again.